Part of the reason I named this channel The Story Was Better in My Head was because at the time, I felt like it was true. I think as a writer, it's one of my biggest fears. This idea that I've had in my head for months will somehow be wasted on me. It stopped me from writing stories I think I would have loved. I said in my last vlog I wanted to change my relationship with drafting by allowing myself the freedom to write all the scenes and moments I've been thinking about, whether they make sense for the story or my characters. I just want to simply write. I don't want to keep focusing on things that don't matter yet, like how beautiful my sentences are or how dynamic a scene should be. Don't get me wrong, things like that are important, but not in my first draft. I don't know my characters fully yet. I don't know how important this moment will truly mean to them, nor will I capture their voice perfectly the first time around. I'm sure there are people who draft really well and don't run into these problems, but I guess when I realized I wasn't one of those people, I started to doubt myself. And so I started to focus on everything else, somehow convincing myself that it would prove that I was a good enough writer, but ultimately feeling too terrified to do the one thing I wanted to do, which was write. I think what happens with me is when I get a new story idea, I start to think about how iconic I want my character to be, or the tone or the quote of a dialogue. I start making playlists and character boards. I start thinking about all of the big moments. But a story isn't just filled with big moments. It's the small moments that scare us the most. No one will care about a big declaration of love or a life-changing speech without the journey, without all those small moments that lead to the big ones. And when it comes to writing those small moments, that's when I would think, damn, this was so much better in my head. But oftentimes, it's not that it's better, it's just easier. It's a lot easier to imagine the things we want to do than it is to actually do them. Because when things get quiet, we feel like we're doing something wrong. These small moments feel so insignificant in the grand scheme of things. It's difficult to start something new and find your way through it. And it's terrifying to stick it out until the end to see if the result will be something you're proud of. I think the good thing about story is that you can always make it better. You can always make those small moments mean more. But it's after you get to the end you realize why those moments mattered in the first place. Writing is hard. Starting an idea from nothing feels like an impossible task. And getting swept up by characters and situations you made up yourself feels ridiculous. But when you finally make it to the end and get to witness this thing that you created with all its typos, choppy sentences, and plot holes, it's hard not to feel proud of yourself. You did something. You created life on paper. And honestly, that's fucking badass. So if you happen to find this video because you're afraid to start writing, I think it's important to remember that if you were great enough to come up with the idea, it stands to reason you'll be great enough to write it down. Don't hold back. Someone's going to need your story to be told exactly the way you intended.